afternoon, Stephen. How are you doing today?
Okay, John, good to meet you.
That's good to know. So Stephen, today we're going to be, give me one second. Okay, there we go. So today we're going to be talking about the remastered version of the film. I had it right here with me, and now it disappeared. The Long Way Home. And I gotta say, me being somebody that by the time that that film came out, I was still not bored. But besides when the film starts, it says that it's dedicated to I think it was to the director, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Michael
uh
Apted.
and and it was dedicated to the director. But what inspired you the most to bring this as a remastered of this past film?
The Long Way Home takes place in 1988 when Boris Grebenshchikov, who's one of the greatest Russian underground singer-songwriters, gets an opportunity to make an album in the West. He's the first Soviet artist to do this. And so this is a story about an artist leaving home, leaving a communist country where there has been tremendous censorship for many years, parachuting into the Western rock and roll world to make an album for a major label, CBS Records. So it's kind of a timeless story of a fish out of water or somebody who goes on a journey. You can call it an odyssey, um, where he brings his talents, uh, but is challenged in many ways. He has to write songs in English for the first time. He's been writing songs in Russian for 15 years. He's working uh, for one of the biggest labels, CBS Records, the label of Billy Joel and Bruce Springsteen and Bob Dylan and Miles Davis. And he's working with the big producer, Dave Stewart of Eurythmics. And he's trying to stay true to himself as an artist and take advantage of this incredible, exciting opportunity that he has. But he's also representing his country, so it's pretty stressful. And so it's a timeless story in that sense, but it's also a story about the time, and that was a time of hope for Russians because the country was starting to open up
Yeah.
from its communist past, and artists like Boris were able to finally release their music and perform publicly. But it's a period of time that if you're young and you're younger than me, you might not know about it. You think of Russia today, okay, it's this autocracy again, it's invaded Ukraine, it's threatening Europe, it's threatening other states that were former Soviet states. They're a bad player now. They're doing ugly, destructive things in the world. But that doesn't mean that all Russians, embrace those policies. So this film shows you a period of time and a country where there was great hope um, for the future, for democracy. It's a great rock and roll movie. It was made by Michael Apted, who is one of our best filmmakers, who made many movies that some of your viewers may have seen: Coal Miner's Daughter, Thunder Heart, Gorillas in the Mist, but he also made many documentaries. And unfortunately, films disappear. This documentary hasn't been available since 1991. So I wanted to bring it back so people, particularly young viewers, could get a sense of Russia at a different, more optimistic time. They could, all viewers can appreciate one of the best documentaries made by Michael Apted. And the film is dedicated to his memory. And then we made an epilogue which brings it into the present. So you find out what happened to Boris after his American album was released.
How was it working with Michael, because I do see that you produced the the one that came out in the documentary in 89, and now you are producing this one, that you are the producer and
Yes.
co-director of the epilogue
Yes.
of this remastered version. How was it working with him?
It was a fantastic experience. Michael was one of our greatest filmmakers. He had a zest for filmmaking that I've never experienced with anyone else. He lived and breathed filmmaking. He was always the first one on location. He was always completely prepared. You know, he didn't even carry notes around with him. You know, most filmmakers are they're making notes and they're referring to them. But he also had an incredible gift that he used with actors that he also used with real people in his documentaries of putting them completely at ease
Mhm.
and and drawing out their best, their humanity, because he had this wonderful curiosity about people, and he also cared. He cared about issues, about um, you know the work of democratic movements. He cared about oppressed peoples who were fighting for their dignity and their human rights and their freedom. You know, he made a film about the American Indian movement, Incident at Oglala. He made a film about the students, some of the students involved with the Tiananmen Square rebellion in China. So he he cared, and but he also understood that film is entertainment, and so he was a master of making entertaining films, and The Long Way Home is among them.
And I wanted to ask Steven because I roughly know, I know a colleague of mine explained to me how like this amazing company called Criterion grabs like very old films, tried to bring them like in a remastered version, like that we can enjoy it either in 2K or 4K. Uh and they do explain that it's kind of difficult, but how was your the process for you and the team that worked on this remastered version of this documentary? What was the process you guys had to go through, like that it could we can enjoy this film in the quality that we have right now?
Yeah. Well, this film was made for TV. It was shot on film on 16 millimeter, but then we transferred everything to tape and edited on tape. So the master tape of the film was ancient, and it was standard definition, which means it would look like crap on any monitor today. But fortunately, we had made a couple of 60 millimeter prints to show at film festivals. So when I decided to remaster the film, uh, we were able to use the one existing 16 millimeter print, which I had kept in my basement for over 30 years. So that became the source for the 4K master, and the sound came from a master videotape. We had a stereo mix that we turned into 5.1. There was an incredible technical team that worked on it, and the remastering was supervised by myself and the editor of the original film, Suzanne Rostock, who was also the co-director of the epilogue. We had a great technical team at a company called Postworks in New York, and David Johnson, who was the post-production supervisor and assistant editor, was very important. John Bowen, who mixed the soundtrack to give us 5.1 and did the epilogue mix. So I I don't want to take up too much time naming people, but I want to honor them. And the film, as you pointed out, is dedicated to Michael Apted's memory. And you know, we're sorry that he can't see it. Unfortunately, he passed in 2021, but he's got a great body of work that's out there. And fortunately, the Long Way Home will be available again to the public.
And is there any fond memory when you did the first documentary, when you were producing the first one, is there any fond memory that you got to be part of while either being with Boris or talking to Michael about the documentary?
Oh. Oh my God. So many, many memories, but one that speaks to Michael's enthusiasm as a filmmaker. We had a long journey to get to Leningrad, which is now called St. Petersburg, where Boris lived at the time. And, this took us, I think, almost 24 hours because we had to fly into Moscow and then take a train to Leningrad. And, the crew was sleeping on top of equipment cases and everybody was exhausted. So we get to Leningrad and we're scheduled to shoot that morning at Boris's apartment. And we have a long shoot day ahead of us and everybody's completely exhausted. And Boris lives on the sixth floor.
Oh, wow.
So the crew is like, oh my God, how are we going to do this? Do we have to do this? Don't make me do this. So the bus pulls up in front of Boris's apartment. Michael grabs a lighting case, which is not a light thing in those days. It's like probably 25, 30 pounds, maybe. And he grabs the case and he goes sprinting up the stairs, 6 flights of stairs in front of the whole crew and
Wow.
shouting at the crew, come on, girls. Well, that was his British way of being endearing, calling everyone girls because it was also mostly a male crew. so, so, of course, everybody woke up and followed the fearless leader. But there's so many things that I learned from Michael. He was a brilliant filmmaker. I got to not only be the producer, but to be the assistant director and second unit director on this film. So it was a great learning experience. It was the beginning of a friendship. He was a mentor in a way, and we went on to make two other films. And I just wish we could have made this epilogue together. But having Suzanne Rostock as my co-director was almost as good because she edited, I don't know, 5 or 6 documentaries for Michael and was very close to him. So his spirit was with us all the time that we were making that epilogue.
That's amazing. And this would be my final question for you today, Stephen. If you could describe The Long Way Home, the remastered version, with one word, what would it be?
Enjoyable.
Enjoyable. I completely agree. I completely agree. Stephen, thank you so much for giving us the time to talk about the film. And I hope that we get to have another conversation in the future for any future endeavors. So thank you very much.
Okay, John. Thank you. I enjoyed speaking with you.